You know what's better than flowers that die in a couple of days? Matching underwear. I'm serious. MeUndies has fully cracked the code on Valentine's Day gifts with matching sets for couples. They're cute, a little intimate, and unlike roses, you'll actually keep using them. You've already seen us sport them. Yes, I have to trick Nippy into wearing a matching set with me, Avi, but it's good times. Good times over here, people. MeUndies makes matching underwear specifically for couples. Same adorable prints, different cuts for each of you, all made with their signature ultramodal fabric that somehow feels impossibly soft every single time. And this isn't just heart slapped on random underwear. MeUndies designs coordinating prints from the ground up. Their Valentine's collection is literally made for two. People are obsessed for a reason. Over 30 million pairs sold and more than 90,000 five-star reviews. They fit well, they feel amazing, and they actually last. Plus, their first pair promise means that you've got 40 days risk-free. And if it's not love, they'll make it right. Boxer briefs, trunks, bikinis, thongs, cheeky styles. Same print, different fits. Valentine's Day is February 14th, in case you forgot. So order soon. This is the gift that keeps on giving, long after the chocolate's gone. Make this Valentine's Day one to remember with matching underwear from MeUndies. To get exclusive deals up to 50% off, go to MeUndies.com/culty and enter promo code culty. That's MeUndies.com/culty, promo code culty for up to 50% off. Happy Valentine's!
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames, and this is A Little Bit Culty.
We woke up from a cult, and that journey was captured in The Vow on HBO and in my memoir, Scarred.
Now, in this podcast, we break down the shame and secrets that make these experiences so destructive with honest conversations on how seemingly benign groups can cross into the cultiverse and how to spot and recover from trouble if it happens to you.
Each week, we bring in experts, survivors, and whistleblowers to explore red flags, resilience, and even share a few laughs, because sometimes you gotta laugh.
Subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free listening, some live Q&A, and exclusive content at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Bit Culty.
Welcome back to part 2 with five-time, maybe, if this is a double episode, ALBC guest and New York Times best-selling author Tia Levings. We dive more into her new book, I Belong to Me, A Survivor's Guide to Recovery and Hope After Religious Trauma, and how it picks up where a well-trained wife leaves off.
We get more practical and personal and talk about how Tia actually structured this book for survivors in early recovery, from what the hell just happened to me to the deeper work of naming trauma, sorting through story wounds, and learning tools like worry appointments, boundaries with I statements, and finding that sweet spot in your window of tolerance.
We'll also get into co-regulation, parts work, and what it looks like to reparent yourself so you can move from constant reactivity to responding with a lot more self-trust and self-respect. If you grew up in fundamentalism, high-control religion, or just feel stuck in old patterns you can't quite name, this one is for you.
If you missed part 1 of our convo, do yourself a favor and catch that first.
Here's part 2 with Tia Levings.
Let me just say before we continue how much I love these covers and how they relate to each other, how there's a key in the back of one, and then in the second one, you are holding the key. Beautiful metaphor. How do you feel about your book covers?
I love them. I love them so much. They're mystery to me. When A Well-Trained Wife was designed, my editor kind of steered like what she saw for it, and then the designer came back with these sketches, mock-ups, and what was wild to me about that is they didn't know I had, at the time of that story, I had a shirt that color, and I used to wear my hair in that ponytail, and I used to stand at the sink washing dishes, listening over my shoulder turned. And so when I saw it, I recognized myself, and I was like, okay, this is cover. This is great. And then the second book had a little journey because it was originally called The Soul of Healing. The cover that they designed for it right away, like before it was even finished, was a phoenix, this big ribbony bird. And it was okay. It wasn't an unattractive cover. It just didn't resonate or land. And I knew that as I got closer to finishing the book, that no one would look at that and recognize a well-trained wife in it. They weren't related to each other. And I felt really strongly at that point that I was writing this to very specific survivors, and I wanted them to know that this is a continuation. This is a follow-up of that. It is also a standalone book. You don't have to have read A Well-Trained Wife to get benefit and merit and be able to follow just fine in I Belong to Me. But I wanted them to be related. And so they said yes, which is not, that doesn't always happen at a publishing house when they've already sunk resources into it. But they did. They went back to the drawing board. They came back with this design. They gave it a white cover, which is a sales thing in publishing of like, there's like a mythology around the white cover and sales, and she's empowered. She's holding the key, which I mean, I loved it. I loved it so much. The third book is tentatively called How to Leave Anything, and it's a series of interviews of people who've left all kinds of situations. And I'm hoping they'll use orange for the background. So then my 3 books together they'll be so striking.
100%. Well, the first 2 are already striking, so I'm sure the third will be a beautiful companion.
What was the psychology behind the white
Yeah,
cover?
what's the white mythology?
I don't fully understand it, except there's an attraction to it, a prominence on the shelf. I don't know if I completely buy that because sometimes white covers just blend in, but
Right.
my covers do pop. I can walk into a store and see real fast if my book's there, because A Well-Trained Wife is not a typical memoir cover. It is more of a fictional dramatic design, which is they did that on purpose because the cover is meant to kind of give you an idea of what's inside. And A Well-Trained Wife very much reads like a compulsive, propulsive narrative. And so why not have that novel aspect to it? I Belong to Me is not a typical self-help book. It's going to stand out among the other self-help titles, which tend to have more things like flowery birds on them. So it's going to be, I think, a fun visual experience to see how it goes.
I know we mentioned your book, even though I hadn't read it yet, for healing in the end in our resources, and also in, I think we talk about you as like an example of what you can do with your life post-cult.
Yeah.
So that we mentioned it there too. So I'm really glad that there's that tie-in. And yeah, we promised that we'd get into some of the things, like some of the like practicalities of it all. I don't know if you remember when you read ours that we have the culty cheat sheet at the end of each chapter. And you have this thing, which I love. Well, you have the coffee chat and then the take-home box. So tell us about how you structured this book, and then let's choose a couple things to dig into.
Yeah, so the take-home boxes are in lieu of exercises at the end. I didn't want to, again, be prescriptive, but I did want to ask some thoughtful questions that you might maybe ponder or self-examine with a little bit of direction to get people started when they feel stuck. It's not really a too long didn't read thing. It's not going to recap the chapter that way, but it's hopefully going to help take some of what we just talked about and put it into a practical or very personal perspective. So the book is kind of structured, and the first half is very exploratory of what the hell just happened to me and how do I call what just happened to me or has happened to me in the past. And so the first half is a little more basic for someone who's just learning to name what happened or just getting started on deconstruction. They're in the early stages of healing, because that's how I was. The original format of this book was like a 12-step process. So those first 3 steps are very general, high level, finding out what you're dealing with. And then the deeper half is the second half, where I really customize this to what it's like to leave specifically an indoctrinating background, religious or not, what happens to our stories when we are manipulated through story, but then also that plays in, comes into factor when we're trying to tell our story. I call them story wounds. And then the real steps to every day deal with trauma reactions versus trauma responses. My sex chapter isn't like anybody else's sex chapter because it talks about voice. And yeah, it's a lot more practical and proactive and unique in the second half of the book.
I know we're jumping around a little bit, but one of my favorite lines of your whole book is in your sex chapter. And if I'm going to say it to you, if you don't want me to say it, we'll cut it out. But my favorite line was, hold on, let me find it.
I know what it is. Go for it.
You say it then.
No, you go for it.
I didn't know how to stand, let alone how to fuck in my power.
That's right. Sound like yourself, stand like yourself, be yourself. And of course, that chapter is all about being childlike and purity culture and all of that. You also cannot have the sex life of an adult woman.
No. No, like that, you can't stand in your power, let alone fuck in your power. Like I never considered all these poor women who are speaking in this childish voice and acting like children.
Babies, yes.
Babies. Yeah, of course. Oh my God. Like, you know what? It helped me understand the section where you talked about a disorder, precocious something, about an actual disorder where because of the developmental stages and tell me if this is accurate, because people get stuck in certain developmental stages, they're really like grown up children.
Yeah, I think that's the Eric Erickson's stages of child development.
Yes.
In the portion of the book that talks about bifurcation, where we learn that there's a good self and a bad self, there's 8 stages of development that take you all the way through adulthood. And fundamentalism, the religion that I'm from, truncates you as a child. So you don't ever get to the adult stages. You don't ever get through adolescence or adulthood or older adulthood. And these are real stages that your brain is supposed to go through in order for you to be actualized and autonomous and in charge of your own, faculties and body and responsible for the things that you do. So when you take all that away from someone and you say, you're going to stay the way you are as a child, you're going to stay sweet and pleasing and dependent, and you're not going to achieve those stages of development, that will show up in your relationships and the way you show up in the world and the way you interact and your worldview. So the word that comes to mind right now is precocious puberty, and I'm not sure that's the same thing that you're thinking.
Yes, precocious something, but it made me understand, and I think that when we see that very clearly with the women, especially with the voice and the ruffles and like everything that you talk about on your platform. I also was relating it to the men. Like, I don't know a lot, but like somebody like Josh Duggar, who, had to be a little man and started a family at such a young age and had all these repressed sexual things. And, we know what happened to him.
Right. Almost a formula and a recipe at this point. And that's why I blame the system when I look at that. But I know, Josh was he's a great example of someone who had every emotional response suppressed as a child with a switch as an infant all the way through his life. And all of his structure came from beyond him, outside of himself. And he was not able to self-manage. And he had all these twisted and malformations in his system. And they come out however they come out. Like, you're not going to keep all that in forever. It's going to come out in the wrong way, in a sick way, and hurt people.
And malevolent, too.
And he's in jail, correct?
Yeah, I think he's got 11 years, but no chance of parole or some combination. He is still trying to appeal. He just recently lost another appeal, and I think the judge quit. It was like some bonkers story.
I can have empathy hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
And he still did what he did. Yeah.
And still needs to be in jail.
What he did. And there's not, I guess when you're getting to the point where you're doing what he's doing, I don't want to say like you're cooked, like that's your fate. Like that's a hard thing to come back from. And I don't know that we've ever seen anyone really redeem themselves in our culture and society in doing that. Like it just comes so complex. Like, and I apply it to our case. Like, there's certain people that I feel like aren't better off in jail. And there's certain people that I feel like you need some more time to think about it a little bit more.
Well, and be kept from harming others because he does not have what it takes to self-regulate and not do those things. The time for him was really 14 before the show started, when he was sent to a construction site boys camp for molesting girls instead of therapy and medication and doctors and, find out what's going on here. If he had any chance for remediation, that probably would have been the point. And the system repeats this mistake over and over again. They still handle these problems that way, even knowing that this is how it turns out. So I go after the system because that's where the change is for me.
Right. I agree.
100%. But as we talked about at the beginning, we're going to focus on ourselves first.
Right.
And then the systems.
It's the courage part of serenity prayer, the courage to change the things I can.
The system is the effect of the people.
Yes. So I first heard the Serenity Prayer, not in AA, but in Sinead O'Connor in the early 90s. Do you remember that?
Good for you. Yes.
Yes. And when I heard that AA did it, I'm like, oh, AA took it from Sinead O'Connor.
I love that.
She has a version of Amazing Grace, too.
She does. That's true.
Yeah.
Your whole book I loved. Okay, well, I'm just going to pull out a couple of things that I think are great. Tell us about worry dates.
Oh, my worry appointments. That was one of the very first things my therapist gave me. So going to therapy all by itself was a huge step for me. I had only ever done Christian counseling with pastoral counselors, which just pointed me back into the same system over and over again. And so after my escape and I started going to therapy, and I was a basket case and in shock and total mess, living through the aftermath and creating new aftermath at the same time. It was such a hairy time. And I was in hiding on the run from my ex-husband who was stalking us and following us. And it was a chaotic time. And I was in a condition where being so broken and vulnerable, my sanity and resilience was very thin and weak. And so my therapist needed to teach me how to compartmentalize in order to survive. It's not necessarily something you can sustain long term, but this has been a habit that I have taken with me. I do it all the time when I find myself becoming overwhelmed with worry. You create a worry appointment and you say, from 1 to 2 o'clock, I can worry about this. And then you worry hard. You get real hard in those sessions. And this is
Like
what
a
I'm afraid of.
workout.
This is what I think could happen. This is the worst that could happen. This is, and you're not even self-editing for realisticness because your fear is your fear. So you go all out for that hour and then it's done and you get up and you go do your other things. And then if worry comes to you when you're doing those other things, you say, it's okay. I'm going to worry about that tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And so having that permission and that spaciousness immediately creates an inner order where there hasn't been any. It was an early anchor for me that I still use today.
I love that so much. Can I tell you a slightly different version that my therapist gave me that I think you'll appreciate?
I'm sure it's a common tool. Go for it.
Well, I'm going to add it to the worry appointment because the first part he gave me, which is that my worry tends to come up at night, which causes me to not sleep. Like I put my head on the pillow and I start worrying about everything that could possibly ever go wrong or just everything. It's all coming up from like administrative stuff to my to-do list, whatever. So he had me embody, he's like, what part of you is a part, I guess slightly a parts thing too, which we'll talk about next. And I said, this is the part of me that's like Monica Geller from Friends. And I actually have friends in my life who call me Geller because that's sort of my go-to personality. And so what I have to do is when I start doing that, I picture Monica Geller like opening the door to my bedroom and I say, okay, thank you for all that you do to keep my life organized. But now it's time to leave because I need to sleep. We'll come back to this tomorrow.
But Joey's in the bed.
Joey You are my Joey, babe. So then Monica shuts the door and I go, bye, good night. So I have to like visualize her leaving that part of me that's like the organizer, OCD person. Yeah.
That's why I love that part of parts work because you are loving and appreciating the part of you that is just looking out for your best interest. That's all she wants to do. She's just not doing it the best way right now that's helpful to the rest of you. So
yeah,
go wait in there, please.
Yes.
Good Joey to tend to.
And I'm going to add to it and we'll deal with it at 1 o'clock tomorrow or I'll set my
Can I have access to that apparatus?
Yeah, you can. Well, you can tell me. Let's take a little break from the cultiverse. Here's a word from our sponsors.
One thing I'm proud of this year is I'm still wearing my favorite pieces from 2025. And honestly, that's kind of the whole point with Quince. They're all about elevated essentials that feel effortless. That's right, effortless. Pieces designed for layering, mixing, and actually living in. Not trends you're over in 6 months. No, not me. Quince really nails the wardrobe staples with qualities that last. Think 100% organic cotton sweaters, premium denim with stretch that's comfortable all day, and those cotton cashmere blends that are perfect when the seasons in Atlanta can't make up their mind. These are the pieces you reach for on repeat. Quince works directly with safe, ethical factories and cuts out the middleman. So you're not paying for brand markup, just generally high-quality clothing, European linen, organic cotton, beautiful fabric, and thoughtful details. I just got a new pair of pants, like pants, not sweats, which are my regular go-to. It's like wearing butter around your buttocks, as Forrest Gump would put it. You want a pair? You can order some too. Ultra stretch 24/7 smart chinos, athletic tapered, of course. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/culty for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/culty to get free shipping and a 365-day returns. Quince.com/culty.
We all know how much sleep does for our skin and for our sanity, but how much do we prioritize it? Actually unwinding at night, that is the hard part. My brain is still running tomorrow's to-do list and my skin is suffering, especially right now in the winter. That's why I'm so excited about our newest sponsor, Osea's Dream Collection. It has become a staple in my nighttime routine. And right now, it's all about the Dream Night Serum and the Dream Night Cream, which are clinically tested, powered by bioretinol, which is essential at this age, designed to reduce the visible effects of stress while you sleep. I'm talking less dryness, less dullness, softer skin, and a noticeable boost in firmness by morning. It's like saying to your skin, I got you, I'm taking care of you. And now for 2026, I'm officially adding their newest launch, the Dream Bioretinol Body Serum, to my body routine. It's a restorative overnight treatment with bioretinol, red seaweed, magnesium, and and lavender that visibly de-stresses skin, firms, smooths, and promotes that calm, ready for bed feeling. These are serious results: softer, more radiant skin by morning, and a bedtime ritual that actually helps you rest. This is body care that works while you sleep, and honestly, that's the dream. I'm obsessed. Give your skin a rest. Clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code CULTY at OseaMalibu.com. This is something that I believe we should all be doing for ourselves, taking care of ourselves, getting ready for bed at night, and taking care of our skin. Enjoy.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes it can feel like everyone else has their love life totally figured out, like they got some secret manual and you missed the email. Truth is, most of us are still figuring it out as we go and talking about it on our podcast. And wherever you are on that journey, therapy can really help you find your way. It can help you understand what you want, what feels heavy, and how to take some of that pressure off yourself. And let's be real, February is loud about relationships, flowers, candy, stuffed animals, and constant reminders of who's coupled up and who's not. But no matter where you are, partnered, dating, single, or just focusing on you, you're not behind. You're right on time. Therapy can help you see more clearly where you are and where you actually want to go. BetterHelp makes it easy to get started. Their therapists are fully licensed in the U.S. and follow a strict code of conduct. They do the matching work for you with a quick questionnaire, and if your first match isn't right, you can switch anytime. Whether it's individual therapy or couples work, it's a space to figure things out without judgment and start feeling a little lighter again. Sign up and get 10% off betterhelp.com/culty. That's betterhelp.com/culty.
Thank you for listening. Now, let's dive back into the cultiverse. I will say that this book helped Nippy and I work through something just before this podcast started. Do you want to share, Nippy?
I love it when we can take a nugget from a book. And one of the things that, if there's been speed bumps in the last 8 years, almost 9 of us leaving, it's, you talk about you heal when you heal. And I wasn't seeing present day triggers for Sarah as her still healing. It was more like, God, it's annoying. Why do I have to be and I didn't consider this is a continuation of I have a friend I just met with in New York, and she said she was hit in the subway 6 months ago. And when the door slams, she gets a trigger. And I thought, well, Sarah was lied to, manipulated, pinned down, and this is 9 years ago. There's got to be some residual things that I think I minimize too quickly, and don't see as trigger responses. And so I did a whole come to Jesus, apologized, and we had a little cry together. So it was healthy. So thank you for that. You helped facilitate that.
You did. Truly, Tia, because it's something that I'm getting emotional because I tend to do that. But Nippy, because he didn't go through the same thing. Our trauma is very different.
That was the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, our trauma is very different.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go.
Yeah. None of that happened to me. I wasn't targeted like that. I was peripheral to a lot of the stuff. I wasn't there for a lot of the same reasons. I'm a dude. I'm 6'2". They kind of left me alone in terms of the chronic abuse that went on targeting women. So I didn't see a lot of that or experience a lot of that. And if you did, I probably wouldn't even have noticed some of it, because it just I wasn't susceptible in that way. And so it made me kind of go, oh, my trauma, while real, and I don't want to minimize mine because it was very real, it was different. And I think maybe, I don't even want to say easier because that's a judgment. It's just different to evolve to the point where I don't think it hit as deep. Mm-hmm. Certainly not in the physical world.
I was going to say, fair to say, less physical.
And for me, any trauma I've experienced, on a deep level, has always been physical. So, if it's not physical to me, it's almost not as real, right? My filters are different. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just felt I got sensitive to something that I hadn't previously been sensitive to.
I love that. Trauma-informed partners are amazing. I think it's so healthy. It's so great. Something else that came to mind when you were sharing that is how much our reactions, our responses, how much they overlap with other things. So a traumatized mind might also look like a neurospicy mind, might also look like an ADHD mind. And so when they overlap and you have all of them plus menopause, it's hard to sift out okay, where is this coming from? Because it doesn't match the moment, the moment is the thing. And it came up and I have to go through my file system of okay, I actually did take my ADHD med, which incidentally, my ADHD med just blocks norepinephrine, which is the trauma hormone. So it's my brain without trauma. It's not really stimulating or anything like that. So If I've taken my meds and I've had rest and I've gone through all my creature needs and I know where my hormones are or a pretty good idea about it, and then there's a story attached to it, then I'm like, okay, this is trauma. This is a trigger. I want to be able to respond, not react, which a big portion of the book is the delineation between reactivity versus a thoughtful response. I wanted to be someone who could thoughtfully respond to stimulus, not fly off the handle. I had a reactive stage of my life that was harmful to my relationships, and I didn't want to stay there. And so all of that work helped me go through that process of like, okay, where is this coming from and how is it impacting this person? And why does this relationship bring this out in me? If I've done my stuff, then I know what I'm dealing with. It's a lot more effective when you can be efficient in dealing with the thing that is there instead of like without shame and with knowledge and naming it. And we talk about it all the time in my relationship now. And I just love that I'm in an environment where I'm not shamed when I have a trauma response and we can just talk about it and he doesn't have to internalize or get defensive because I'm just openly processing what's happening here. And it's like nipped in the bud in like 2 minutes instead of becoming, a 3-day drama or something, or something that hurts my health or any number of things.
When you are aware that's what's happening, how does he best support you?
Okay, co-regulate. And we sing it. He holds me. We have this long extended hug and we sing that in each other's ear. And it's like our little tell of we're just co-regulating, which is the first time in my life I have co-regulated other than my children. I didn't realize I held my children as much as I did because I was starved for touch, number one, but also just I always wanted to stabilize with them and comfort them. And I didn't have the word regulation at that time. And now I know, when I'm holding chest to chest, I'm co-regulating. I want our heartbeats to sync up. I want to feel my nerves settle in my body and know that I am safe right here in this like 2 feet of where I'm standing. I'm safe here. This is my bubble. And then we can talk about it when we're regulated, whatever it is, and he's also really great at asking me, okay, what's it? Tell me what it is. Because that's the first thing that goes is
I like that. I'm taking that.
Yes. Actually, just before this podcast, when Nippy realized he'd been. Well, you said you were aware that I was still. Kidding. And sometimes I'm not aware. Like, I'm like, I'm healed. And then I'm like, no, not healed. But I think because you didn't really have co-regulation growing up, you didn't know what I needed. And I didn't know to even ask for it. He's like, I just don't know how to help. I'm like, you don't just hold me. Like, that's all I really want is a hug. All you have to do is put your arms around me and sing co-regulation. Oh, how's the song go?
Yes, co-regulation.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And he doesn't have to fix it, which is the big one.
There we go.
Yes, you don't have to fix it. You don't have to fix it. And I think
that's a load off.
As a protector, that's confusing. But you also just said something that's really important. It's the trauma and the menopause.
Which I'm somewhat of an expert. I don't know if you guys know that, Tia. I'm somewhat of an expert on the menopause and perimenopause thing.
Sure
so if you want to talk after, I've witnessed more conversations in the last 5 years that I could prescribe you and tell you what you need to do.
We've had so many double dates where I'm like, okay, so
she starts it off
hormones?
And I finish it.
Are you doing creatine? What are you doing? Let me see your list of nutrients and supplements.
I'm over there judging quietly. Going, no.
It's part of the soup.
It's a thing. It is a soup, isn't it? And it's a recipe and we try things and then they stop working and back to the drawing board. And
Back to the drawing board. Okay, so, back to the book. Little slight derailment there, but important, I think. It is one of the tools.
No,
it's one of the tools in the tool belt just to co-regulate.
It's fun to talk about. You got to make it fun to talk about.
Yes, right? It is fun to talk about. Yeah. It's not fun to experience always, but it's fun to talk about.
But I have found so much freedom in just accepting it. I dysregulate easily in a chaotic world. If I'm regulated, I'll make a wise decision. I'll say the right thing. I'll own my mistake. I won't be defensive. So let me regulate and get a grip. It's the window of tolerance. I talk about this in the book as well. So
yes,
therapists will talk about the window of tolerance. It's your sweet zone where your superpowers. You can do lots in your day. You can get your job done. You can parent your kids. You can pivot really easily when you're thrown a curveball. The window of tolerance is great. And then they talk about hypoarousal, where you're under it, you're out of it because you sunk, you're depressed, you're gray walking, you're checked out, you're dissociating, or you're hyper aroused and you're anxious and frenetic and crazy and neurotic and all of that. What I focus on is the margin line. And I don't really see anybody talking about that. So I think this might be unique to my book. But the margin, the line between your tolerance and your hypo or hyper, is when you feel yourself starting to slide. And if you catch it in that moment, you're going to go back to the sweet spot. But if you blow past it, as our culture pushes us to blow past it all the time, or our trauma is too threatened to inquire, it's hard to be self-aware when you're scared, nervous, stressed, all of that. Taking that moment to say, I feel like I'm sliding. Give me a second. I just need to catch my breath. I need to sit on the ground for a minute. I need a hug. That can make or break an entire day. So that has been like a loving gesture to myself to say, yeah, I need this. And I think everybody needs it, but I'm at least going to own it for myself. And I'm going to take this time and do it. And it's changed literally everything that I do with my job, with my work, with my content, with my storytelling, with my family, my adult children who I'm learning how to be in adult relationships with. Literally everything is impacted by that.
What are your physical signs that you're in the margin?
For one thing, I start speaking in generalizations. I start making sweeping assumptions. My blood pressure's up. My heart rate is up, usually sweating, or I'll be full of kinetic energy that I haven't discharged. It's like sometimes you have to move in order to get some of that out. Scared. Nightmares are always a big tell for me. If I'm night processing, that means I'm not daytime processing. If I shut down and I'm like, I just can't right now, like I get real intolerant. I shut down other people. I start interrupting other people. I'm flinchy and fly off the handle. Like it's like animated. I have an animated personality anyway. So I kind of have to pay attention. Like, are you really feeling that energy, or is that coming from an anxiety that's pushing its way out of you? Just checking in, taking the breaths, and it's basic baby care. Like I think so much of essential self-care is loving our little selves like babies and not being embarrassed about that. Like I need a little TLC right now. And that's because I'm a human being. It's so ridiculous, our human being bodies. Like literally, if we don't drink enough, we're going to be dead tomorrow. Like that's a silly design to me, but it means we better drink enough water today if we want to be here tomorrow. So,
we're biologically tethered to some limitations. Yeah.
I love what you talked about, of mothering yourself, learning to reparent yourself, the inner child work, which, I don't know if you know this, but my parents are therapists. So I've been hearing about inner child work and parts work and EMDR and a lot of the things you talk about in the book, but I haven't done all of them. Mm-hmm. I've already got the Audible of the parts work book that you recommended.
Oh, it's so good. Mm-hmm. No bad parts.
No bad parts, yeah. And I already sent it to a girlfriend who was stressed out. And will you tell the audience a little bit about family systems and parts work?
Yeah. I mean, this is a really layperson's example because I'm not a doctor and I'm not a therapist. And so this is just how I understand it. But Dick Schwartz's theory is basically that we are not a mono mind. We are many multifaceted parts of us. And we say this casually all the time. Part of me feels this and part of me feels that. And so you do have different versions of yourself at different ages. Different versions of yourself that have strengths and weaknesses. You described your Monica part. That's an aspect of you that is neurotically organized and needs to take care of and have structure and order. And so in parts work, she'd probably be called a firefighter because she's helping you put out fires, anticipate fires, organize everything, or a manager. Managers do the same thing. They're managing all the little parts. They're making sure you have all the components. And all these parts, the way to understand parts is that they're all survival systems. They're helping you get through life. They want you to avoid pain and problems. And so their ideas for how that needs to be formed may not match the seat of yourself, which is your higher cognitive self that has gone through all your life with you. You are whatever age you are today, yourself at all of those places. And they're stuck in time. So my 6-year-old part doesn't know that I'm 51. And if my 6-year-old part speaks up and is likes I see something that my 6-year-old used to like, or I feel afraid of something my 6-year-old used to fear, she may not understand. We grew up and we're an adult now and we know what is on the other side. And if I let her run the show, I'm going to act like a child. And we know plenty of childish behaving adults that are blended. They are not leading with their cognitive wise self. They're leading with their 13-year-old part or their, mean girl 17-year-old, or we see this obnoxious behavior come out in adults. And so knowing how to organize your inner family and realize that your parts all have parts too. 6-year-old part had parts of you, and 10-year-old you had parts of you. I don't get into the minutia with it too much. I mostly pay attention to what comes up. How old do I feel? What am I remembering? What are they trying to achieve? That's a big question for me, is what are they trying to achieve? They want me to be safe. So is their idea of what makes me safe positive? Do I want that? Do I want to shut this person out of my life in order to stay safe? Do I want to go to that place or do this thing in order to stay safe? Not necessarily. And so an inner conversation begins of where does that come from and where are we and what are we going to do about it? Ultimately to the point of self-acceptance and love. That's where you're trying to get, is to an integrated whole.
Amazing. I feel
Yeah.
like that's what we thought we were doing in Nexium, but that's what they said we were doing to try to feel whole and complete. We even did some parts work, but it wasn't.
Pretended to do
we
parts
pretended to do parts work. I don't know, who knows? But I'm excited to
Cosplaying.
really do it. Well, and I think that relates to one of the other things you talk about a lot in your book, which is boundaries with I statements. And that was a good reframe for me about like, especially what I could imagine leaving high control and learning boundaries like no, or I don't want, or whatever. How did you learn the I'm somebody who?
I had to flip the script. So
Yeah.
where I come from, there were no boundaries, especially for females. You don't bound yourself. You don't bound what you'll say yes to or not. You know, you're going to do what you're going to do and what you're told. And so I learned them very late in life. And when I learned them, I was full of fear that, was I being mean? Am I being mean by saying no? Am I being mean by not showing up for that? Or I would burn myself out and say yes to everything. Of course I can take that commitment. Of course I can show up there. If I will, and I wouldn't say no to anything. So then in drilling down and like what was working for me, two things came up. One was I needed to focus on what I could do versus what I couldn't. What can I do in this moment? That immediately gave me a sense of agency. I can show up for dinner, but I can't stay for 3 hours, you know? Now I'm setting a parameter that is about me, not about controlling the other person. It's just a reflection of my capacity. And then thinking about, what do I want my boundaries to say about the person I am? I'm somebody who shows up for my friends, or I'm somebody who has a tight group of friends, but I don't share all that information with everyone, for example. It's an inner boundary that's about me, and it defines my character, and it becomes what somebody knows they can count on from me. So it's an expansive view of boundaries, which I think should be fluid and growing and more like an evergreen hedge than a tight, fence. It's not about, early boundaries are about keeping things out and, shutting down and baby steps. I definitely have that in there too, but that's not where a mature integrated person is going to stay. And your boundaries can flex and change over time too, which is not something I understood. I thought they pretty much had to be static, and they'll break if they're static. So it's okay to let them flex and change your mind.
Even cult podcasts need sponsors, everyone. Check out these must-haves.
The new year is here, and honestly, is it just me, or do we all need a little at-home refresh after the holidays? Wayfair makes it super easy to elevate your space without breaking the bank. I'm talking bedding, mattresses, storage solutions for every room, even desks and chairs for the podcast recording room you are dreaming of. We've refreshed our living room with some accent pillows, a few mirrors and faux plants for way less than expected, and it actually feels like a new space. Wayfair's massive selection makes it easy to find exactly what's right for you, whether you're on a budget, hunting for a statement piece, or just trying to get organized, which for us is what 2026 is all about. We also love how Wayfair sends us suggestions of items that fit into our vibe, including gorgeous new chairs for our new YouTube studio and our podcast space. I love how these chairs were not only easy to assemble, but also so comfortable and well-made. From home decor to storage to creating a functional work or recording space, Wayfair really is your one-stop shop. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things. That's WAYFAIR.com, Wayfair. Every style, every home. My friends, you have heard us gush about Hungry Root before, and honestly, we can't stop. As busy parents and podcasters, it's been a total game changer for saving time, cutting stress, and keeping us healthy. Hungry Root plans all of our meals for the week, fills our cart, delivers everything we need to eat well every day, tailored to our personal health goals, dietary preferences, and budget. They've got over 50,000 chef-crafted recipes every week, with many ready in 15 minutes or less, plus over 1,000 grocery items like smoothies, sweets, kids' snacks, salad kits, ready-to-eat meals, and supplements. It's so easy to find options that actually work for our whole family. Also, Hungry Root holds its food to high standards. No high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, or sketchy preservatives. Organic produce, high-quality meat and seafood, and trusted brands like Oatly and Vital Farms, Ithaca Hummus. If your New Year's resolution is to eat healthier, Hungry Root makes it easy to actually stick with that past January. I love how Hungry Root not only knows that we try to be gluten-free in our family and that I'm like pseudo-keto-ish. In our last box, I got a bunch of grab-and-go high-protein snacks, hello, perimenopause, and healthy snacks for the kids that were Sarah approved. Thanks to Hungry Root, we are winning at life over here. You are going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/culty and use code culty. That's hungryroot.com/culty, code culty to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Here's the harsh truth nobody wants to hear. You can spend all the money on serums and potions and lotions, but if your cells are stressed and dehydrated, your skin is never going to have that glow. So this year, I'm skipping the broken resolutions and committing to the internal fix that my skin has been begging for. The secret is a powerful 2-part solution. 1 to fight inflammation and 1 to support deep cellular hydration. That's why I love Peak's Radiant Skin Duo. Matcha plus electrolytes, working together to transform your skin from the inside out. Sun Goddess Matcha is my morning reset button. Ceremonial grade, grown in volcanic soil, packed with chlorophyll, EGCG, and L-theanine to calm my stress, because we all know I have that, and literally turn the glow switch back on. Then there's BT Fountain, which is luxury hydration, not a sports drink, designed to deeply replenish cells and rehydrate your complexion all day long. Together, less puffiness, brighter tone, fewer flare-ups, and that plump, dewy, what are you doing differently kind of glow. This isn't just energy, it's a skin reset. So commit to intentional health. Unlock 20% off and establish your powerful foundation for sustained well-being at peaklife.com/culty. That's PIQUE life.com/culty. This is hydration redefined. Try it and glow from the inside out.
Sponsor break's done. Now back for more culty stories.
I'm going to start practicing it. I feel like that's a really tangible tool that I love. And I have trouble with boundaries, and I
try to help you with them.
Nippy's an instant no, and I'm an instant yes.
Well, I can
in general.
I'll run by and I don't know if I speak for you in this, but one of the things in being in the documentary is I was protective of my family and my personal life, and I didn't want it to be other people's entertainment. So I've always been reluctant in that. So that's been somewhat of a boundary. And then now it's like, I don't feel like I owe this story anything else than my part of the story anymore. And I don't owe it any more of my personal life. And I'm super protective of that. And I'm sometimes at odds with how Sarah shares. It's not her boundary, it's mine. Right. Mm-hmm. And so
I do tend to overshare.
And we're probably going to talk about our book a lot. And I really just want to keep it in the lane of the book. And, I kind of feel like there's a demand on the personal, and we just turned something down because somebody wanted to follow us with a camera about
at home.
And I was like, nope.
Yeah, no.
There's just no.
Homes. You're somebody who protects the walls of your home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And media-wise, I don't think I'm going to do any mainstream. I just kind of feel like there's so many things in mainstream media that I just don't want to be a part of. I don't think I want to go on but I also feel like mainstream needs to hear some of our content too. So it's
it's a hard call knowing where to show up and where not to.
Yeah.
I just set one yesterday with someone's frenetic, pushy energy. I was like, I'm not someone who makes a decision under urgency. So if you need an immediate decision, I pass.
Great.
They were like, what? I was like, it's just probably not a timing matchup. It's okay. But it helped me say no. I was realizing, why do I want to say no? I'm feeling pressured to do this under someone, and I resist urgency. That's a big one for me.
That's mine too. Yeah,
that's so important. It's so important.
Also, it's a confession on their part. I mean, the cool thing about I think the collective knowledge here is that we have awareness on certain things and can draw from things that when we see behaviors, we see those behaviors as confessions.
Yeah, and we can
someone
spot
willing,
a flag.
Someone willing to be urgent doesn't know your story.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's a lot of intel that we can gather and make informed decisions about because we've had our experience. And those people don't know that we have that knowledge and often talk to us as though, I don't want to say talk down to a little bit, but it's there. You can kind of catch it because they don't have the knowledge. So it's like, it's just an informed decision in that part, which is what wisdom gives you.
You have so much wisdom.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom.
You have so much wisdom.
And you've done the work to put language to it.
It's just the school of hard knocks and being like, I do not like learning the same lesson twice. I really don't like that. Like, it's painful. It makes me feel ashamed. And I try to pay attention to where shame is coming up. And if I have to learn it again and again, what am I missing? Then so I don't have to do this again. That I'm real interested in that. And I had cult hopped. I had fallen into another high control marriage right after my first one. And it was benevolent seeming. And there were lots of people who thought I was happy. And I was, by measure, happier. But I made a big mistake. And it happened during the years my children were growing up. I don't get those years back with them, and I was trying so hard to put myself back together. And so I have compassion for younger me. I know how I fell into that. I know what systems exploited me, but I also want to have learned from that so that there's not a third time. That is not going to happen again. And hopefully I can pass something on to someone else and say, here's how you avoid falling for a high control dynamic, or here's a red flag in someone you really do need to pay attention to, because if you're picking up on their inner chaos, you don't want that in your life, or you need to keep it in a pen. It needs to have a place. This is where your chaos gets to exist, and here's where your chaos may not come, because here's my priority.
And that relates to two other books, which we won't have time to get into, but I also love. One was Fawning by Dr. Ingrid Clayton.
Yes, so good.
So good.
Yeah, so good. I don't know if you heard our episode with her, but it was quite cathartic. And before you mentioned her, I was like, oh, I need to introduce Tia to Ingrid. And then you were on top of it. And Codependent No More, which has been in my Audible lineup, and I need to read it, but it's just one of those. One of those.
Codependent No More has been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really good gateway, portal, first step. I'm so thankful that we have graduating and maturing resources. So much has happened in the past 5 to 6 years that you and I have been on the scene. And I'm so grateful we have all these books in highly specialized niches. That a book could exist for Fawning. I hope she does all the trauma responses, which they're growing. That list is growing. So I was like, wow. I mean, yes, I need a deep dive into Fawning. Also fight, flight, freeze, fawn, fine, feed. Yeah, fuck. I have fuck you, the fuck you response. Yes, absolutely.
That's probably your favorite, Nip.
Okay, well, we're not talking about me
sorry.
right now. Remember,
I know. So that's a big spoiler, y'all.
Big spoiler. And of course,
there's
so much that this book covers, and we won't get into all of it, but we, obviously want everyone to just pick it up and read it, and in the ways that they need to. They don't have. I love what you said at the beginning, skip around as you need to. But is there anything about it that you feel is really important to say that we didn't ask you? It's burning in your heart, heavy on your heart.
Not really heavy. I just really do hope this lands in the laps of the people who really need it, who need hope to know that they can heal. I want everyone to know that there's more ahead than that's all that's been. You can reframe your story. You can reclaim your strengths. Some of our trauma responses become our superpowers later. That is lost in our culture. No one talks about that. Even ADHD is a superpower. I can multitask like a witch. I am so good at multitasking, sometimes too good, and I need to focus, so we have to quiet the noise. But the idea that you can live your life without shame, and you can have total full acceptance for everything that made you who you are. I do spend a lot of my time having this conversation with myself about the work that I do and feeling like, wow, why was this the work? Why couldn't I have gone viral for a food channel or some, neutral, non-emotional, non-political issue? But I went through what I went through, and it's not for this, but I can make something beautiful with it, and I can make something useful and helpful with it. And for me, that's redemptive. And we don't get to choose the situations that come into our lives, but we can do something with what we've learned from it. And I hope that I'm an example of that, because when I started this, I sure never thought a book about religious trauma and marital rape and child abuse and all of the things that happened would ever even sell, let alone be beloved. And here we are. So I really believe in proactive, protopia, progressive, forward motion movement that's grounded in life as it is, where we are. Be grounded in reality, but have your eye towards what you want, and then go for it. Yeah. Be audacious on your own behalf.
I love it. Any final thoughts?
No, it was great. I'm not going to touch that.
That's perfect
That was
way
a
to
guitar
end.
solo.
Just
Just tune out.
co-regulation.
It's like join us next week.
When does the book come out? Where can people find you?
Oh, it comes out Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2026.
Nice.
And Tia
Right.
Levings writer everywhere. February 20th, the paperback of A Well-Trained Wife drops. And May 5th is when I Belong to Me will be available.
Amazing. So they can pre-order it.
They can pre-order it.
Yeah,
I read
yeah.
the audio. Oh, also, we have this fun little thing coming. I have a discreet book jacket for A Well-Trained Wife. So if you want to give a copy of A Well-Trained Wife to someone who has to hide what they're reading, they will be able to find it at tialevings.com. You can download it and print it and put it on the hardcover and hand off a more discreet version of my very shiny cover
Love
with the
that.
provocative image on the front.
That's
pretty cool.
Awesome. That's so smart. Well, Tia, it's always a treat. Will you please...
Four-time guest, Tia Levings,
Four-time
everyone.
guest. Please do let us know if
Great.
you ever are coming through Atlanta and need a place to stay. We love our time with you. As
Good
always,
bonus.
we loved I Belong to Me. We love A Well-Trained Wife.
Also, isn't it a 5-time guest if we did a 2-part episode?
Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
shit. Look at Tia flipping the script.
Stay warm.
Thank
Yeah,
you
stay
for
warm.
that.
Be
warm.
safe this
Yep.
weekend.
Yep.
And all the best with your book launch, Tia. You're a badass.
Bye, Tia.
We love you, Tia. Come back soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
We hope you're enjoying A Little Bit Culty. If so, please do show us some love. Drop a rating or leave a review. Hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Even better, send this episode to someone who needs it. Maybe they're in a cult. Maybe they're just a little bit susceptible. Or maybe they just love a good story. Spread the word, spread the love. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production.
Executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames in collaboration with producer Will Rutherford at Citizens of Sound. Our co-creator is Jess Temple Tardy.
Our production coordinator is Leslie Dinsmore.
Writing by Sandra Namoto and social media marketing by Eric Swarzinski and Brooke Keene.
Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslan.